welcome to everybody. My name is Stephen Hansen. I'm the Director of Graduate Studies at the Master's Program, Bioethics and Medical Humanities. And I would love to share with you a little bit about the program. So I am going to, without further ado, at least I hope without further ado, share my screen and do that with sound, otherwise it won't work. And let me begin. All right, I believe you can see my screen, so let us begin. That would be, let us begin, please. There we go. Nope, one back. So, already it's going well. Welcome everybody. As I said, I'm Stephen Hansen. I'll introduce the other persons in the program a little bit later, but I'm welcome to our presentation on this exciting new program in bioethics and medical humanities. Lot of information about us can be found in our website, tulane.edu/bioethics, and by all means, you can find a lot about us there. You can apply through that website. You can get contacts for the various people in the program there. But it's a good resource for information if we fail to answer any of your questions, and so are we good resources for information. Sophie Offengenden is our program coordinator and also one of our professors in the program, and I will also give you my contact information a little bit later. Let's start with just a quick note. I mean, we are Tulane, and we are proud to be a part of Tulane. Here's just a little quick blurb about Tulane.
Inspired by our motto, not for oneself, but for one's own. We're leading the way. We're creating opportunities. We're transforming campus. We're joining our neighbors. As Tulaneans, we are defined by our relentless pursuit of a better tomorrow.
I'm always used to seeing those at halftime of a football game, but you know, you can see them here too. Oops, not twice. We don't want to see it twice. So a lot of the images that you saw there were of the Uptown campus, which is where you saw the tents that they put up for outdoor but in-person, socially distanced education. We are on the downtown campus, which is as you see the Murphy building here in the image, and we are a quick streetcar ride from the French Quarter, or a not terribly quick, but easy walk from the French Quarter. That's where we are, in the downtown area. And that's where the School of Medicine is. Let me talk a little bit about why I think this program is really exciting, and I do, obviously, but Tulane University is the first reason why this is exciting, right? I mean, this is a nationally ranked, nationally recognized university and medical school that you would be a part of in this program. We are the place for a master's program in bioethics and medical humanities in the Gulf Coast region. There are lots of there's a lot of states around us where this is the best and most accessible place, and this is where you want to be. But I think the reason that one good reason why this is exciting is that we have a variety of really flexible ways to go through the program. And there's a reason for that. The reason why there's such flexibility in our 33 credit hour program is that we're looking at least 3 different kinds of students. So there are students who might be coming just out of a bachelor's degree or maybe a few years out, and they're looking for a traditional master's program for a 2-year program. You would use that as a springboard to move forward into elsewhere in your career. But we've got the opportunity for people who are fresh out of their bachelor's degrees to be taking the master's degree. But we also have a dual degree program with our medical school. You'd have to apply and be admitted to both the medical school and to our program. But if you are, you can take the MD and the Master of Science at the same time. It would not add any time to your time to graduate from medical school, and you would not have to change your medical school cohort. You would be the same You would be in the same cohort, you'd go through it in the same time, 4 years, but you would graduate not just with the MD, but also with the Master of Science in Bioethics and Medical Humanities. But we're also reaching out to and finding students who are mid-career professionals, people who are lawyers, clinicians, chaplains, public health, social work, who have discovered that they want to know more about issues in ethics, or how the humanities, how narrative writing, how the history of medicine works in their understanding of medicine. And we're very flexible for that sort of purpose as well. We would hope that in many cases, these people would be taking it part-time and would graduate in 3 years, but it's not required. We are very flexible in how you could take the courses so that it would fit into your schedule, so you could take coursework that worked for you, but could still get the learning that you would want out of this master's program. And that's actually a really important part, I think, of this program. This is not a master's where you come in. This is not a degree where you would come in, sit and listen to somebody talk for a while, and then go home and say, wisdom received, or worse, wisdom not received. I didn't learn anything from that. That's not how this works. So you saw we got such a wide variety of students coming in from a wide variety of backgrounds: philosophy, history, sociology, public health, and people who are studying in this medical school as well, people who are coming in mid-career professionals from different careers and so on. This is a group effort. This is a learning community where you get to learn from your fellow students. Your fellow students will learn from you, because no matter who you are, you have knowledge they don't have. You have knowledge that I don't have. I get to learn from you. This is a community of learning where everybody gets to learn from each other. And it's not just the students, it's the professors. We've got people who are working in narrative. We've got historians, we've got clinicians, we've got philosophers. There's such a wealth of training and knowledge here that the only way to think of this is as you're entering a community of learning. And that's how I want us to think about it. And that's how I want you to think about it. Now, we did design this program right from the beginning to be available via live video conferencing. All of the coursework can be taken by Zoom. This was a lot more exciting back before everybody was doing this for everything anyway. But even when COVID is over, we're still doing that, because we want people to be able to participate in the coursework. So you can do distance learning, but we don't do it by viewing recorded lectures, again, sitting and viewing something and receiving wisdom or not. No, it's live, interactive. You're a part of the class, and you're part of the class through the same technology we're using right now. And that way, you can be a part of the community, even if you're having to, like one of my students on Wednesday was, come in from while she was working a shift in the ICU, right? She was able to take some time off of her shift, and then occasionally had to take time off of the class to go do something. But you can participate, not just view it, but participate in it from wherever you are. We do have limited scholarships available for high merit-based scholarships for top quality students, and we can talk more about that in questions if you'd like. These are, at least for the moment, at most partial tuition scholarships, but they are something that we're very happy to be able to provide, at least for some people. Let me tell you a little bit about what it looks like. So if we're having a learning community, what are we doing in it? Well, everybody in the program takes these 4 courses. The Foundations of Bioethics, Current Controversies, Foundations of Fundamentals of Humanities, and the capstone. Foundations of Bioethics is look, where did we come from? And this is not something lost in the mists of history. Modern bioethics is maybe 60 years old. So this is living memory, or almost living memory, for people still working in the field, where we began. And so we can look at not just where did bioethics start, and why did it start that way, but also maybe what did we miss, and why did we miss that? What are the gaps that we need to be building on now that we didn't quite get at 60 years ago when we started this? So Foundations is Foundations, but it builds all the way to today. Of course, Current Controversies is pretty much what it says on the label, right? It's what are the things, what are the problems that we're dealing with right now? Some of those are perennial problems. So with assisted suicide being legalized in more and more states in the United States, and with Canada legalizing active euthanasia, and with Belgium and the Netherlands legalizing pediatric euthanasia, I mean, that's a current controversy, absolutely, even though Hippocrates also talked about it, right? But we're also talking about things that are current and really just current. How do we distribute COVID-19 vaccines? What's the just way to distribute these? And spoiler alert, we're not doing it perfectly. We're getting better, but we're not doing it quite right just yet. The fundamentals of medical humanities is how do we use the tools of narrative, the understanding of history, and the tools of literature, the fine arts, film, to understand medicine better, and what do we get? And the answer is a lot from using these tools to understand this thing, which sometimes people just look at as this is a function of biology. So much more than that, medicine. And the capstone is, well, again, it's kind of what it says on the label. This is the course that you take at the end of your coursework. This is a non-thesis program. We don't want you to be writing a thesis that sits on a shelf and nobody ever looks at again. We want you to design a solution, practical solution to a real problem that you and your cohort taking this class will say, here's something that we've seen in the last 2 years that we've been in this program, or here's something that I saw before I even entered this program. And this is a real problem that we want to try and solve. And whether that's an educational issue where you're designing education for clinicians or for ethics committees, or designing something which is a tool to educate patients about something where you think they're not really getting what they need to get. They're not really being able to access the information they need to get, or talk about policy, hospital policy, or even legal policy. Here's a solution to a problem that we've seen. That's the goal of the capstone. And at the end of that, there will be something practical, whether it's videos, it's a course design, whether it's pamphlets that you've designed to educate patients, whatever it is, there's a practical output to this. The capstone is, I think, one of the more exciting things about the program, because again, this is at the end of the day, bioethics and medical humanities is practical. The problems that we're dealing with are real problems that we need real practical solutions to. And we want people to be building those right from the beginning. Well, those are the 4 courses that everybody in the program takes. But there are 2 different tracks then for depending on which you're more interested in. If you're looking more into the issues of bioethics, we talk to you more about ethics, research, clinical theory. If you're more interested in the humanities, we look at literature, film, history, narrative. And the idea is there's so much of this that we need to specialize a little bit. Now, even if you are specialized, even if you are taking the bioethics track, you can take courses in the medical humanities track as electives. So it's not that there isn't any overlap in these, but you just have to specialize a little bit, just because there's so much in bioethics and the medical humanities. If we tried to lump it all together, you wouldn't get a full training in either one of them. I said electives. There's lots of opportunities for but hang on. So why these 2 tracks? Well, which one would you prefer? It depends on what you're interested in, right? They're both training you for service, research, education, but for slightly different things. If you're wanting to work in healthcare ethics committees or IRBs, if you're wanting to do policy research, if you're wanting to do empirical research in ethics, that's the bioethics track. If you're wanting to look at, how do we use reflective writing to understand the realities of medicine and the realities that people experience when they're actually dealing with patients, that's narrative. That's medical humanities. And history, I speak English, and history, and sociology, social work, lots of different factors can go into this in the medical humanities track. And that's where we would look if that's what you're more interested in. Now, like I said, you can take electives from each track, even if you're not taking that track. And there are other electives that we've got available. Here are some of the interesting ones that we've designed already. We're also building more as we speak. There's pandemic ethics that we're hoping to have ready for the summer. And just this, I won't even say, just this morning, maybe about half an hour ago, we got the ink dried on our brand new collaboration with the School of Public Health. So there are going to be lots of opportunities for electives in public health. You can take courses just directly in the School of Public Health in issues of social justice, the social determinants of health. What are the factors that make for the impact of public health on individuals and so on. So many opportunities have opened up because of this collaboration that we've now got with the School of Public Health. I'm very, maybe it's obvious, I'm very excited about this. This is a great thing, and I'm so glad that we got that actually done right before this, so I could say to you, this is there and it's a thing. So lots of elective opportunities, including electives in other schools, and more to come as we are growing. This is what it would look like if you were taking the program as just straight as a master's program. 3 courses a semester is a full load. So you would take 3 courses a semester for 3 semesters, and then the final semester, we're only a 33-hour program, so you would only technically need 2 courses to complete that. For some people, staying a full-time student is important. That has impact on financial aid and things like that. So you certainly can take a 3rd elective to stay a full-time student. That's not mandatory. But you see what it looks like. You're going to have interaction with other people in your track, but also the other tracks all the way through. And that's important because what we want is a real cohort feel so that you know the people that you're working with in the year that you're in, but other years as well, so that when you're at the level of working on the capstone, you're working with colleagues to solve a problem. That's what we're wanting. It's not the only thing, but that's what we're wanting you to have at that point. Now it's going to look a little different if you're doing the dual degree, because if 9 hours is a full-time load as a graduate student, when we don't want you to have a full-time load as a graduate student at the same time as you also have a full-time load as a medical student. That would be bad. So instead, we put coursework in the summers before year 1 and in between year 1 and 2. So this doesn't change your medical school cohort. We don't interfere with 3rd year rotations, which, you know, again, go year round. So that gets a little tricky to try and do things in the quote summer, because there's a summer, but you're working during it. So this is how it works to fit things into the dual degree program. But it maintains the same cohort that you came in both the medical school and in the master's program. And so you'd be completed again the end of the 2nd semester of the 2nd year. Why would you do any of this? I mean, outside of being interested in the material itself. This is not the master's on its own is not a training for a career. It's a springboard for you to take into a wide variety of possible careers. So we give knowledge and training and practical exercise of a wide variety of skills and practices in ethics and medical humanities. And then you take those and you go wherever it is that you're interested in going. And this will give you the tools that you need to work in medicine, law, social work, chaplaincy, public health, areas in the humanities. This is something which you can springboard into all of these different things with. So it's not itself training for a career. Rather, this is training for guiding your career the way that you want it to be. And that's really how I think about the dual degree as well, right? I mean, what's the purpose of doing this as a dual degree? You're taking your clinical career, which, let's face it, as an MD, that's what you're aiming for. And you're saying, I'm going to take control of where this career goes. You know, the part of your job description that says down at the bottom, and other duties as assigned. This is taking control of the other duties as assigned part of this. You're saying, what I want to do is, and again, wide variety of things. I want to work on ethics committees. I want to work on the IRB. They are desperate for people who are both clinically trained and ethically trained on both of those groups. I want to do research, but not just medical research. I want to do ethical research, humanities research. I want to develop policy, either for hospitals that I'm working in or bigger state-based or federal-based policy. This allows you to take your career and guide it to make it your own. And I will say that we are sufficiently young that we haven't had graduates yet of our program go on to residencies, because they're still working on their degrees. But in other programs like this, the master's in bioethics or medical humanities always comes up in the residency interviews, always. And it's always interesting. And think about it, of course it is, right? This is something else that they can talk about other than the same stuff they've been talking about with all of the other people. You have something else that you have that is not just something else, but I promise you, people who've been working in a clinical field for 15, 20 years, they've seen issues in ethics. They've seen issues where I really needed to write this down to make sense out of it. They've seen issues where this comes up. So this is something which they know is important, and they now realize you know it's important as well. And this is maybe the most important bit, at least to me. Why do it here? Well, I mean, because Tulane is, well, Tulane. I mean, this is a top tier faculty. I'll introduce you to them in a minute, but I will put this, we are competitive with any faculty in any program anywhere. I don't care, Case Western, Emory, NYU, Stanford, I don't care. We are competitive with any faculty. I'm amazed that I get to be a part of this group and I get to learn from this group. And the students at Tulane are going to be, well, they're going to be students at Tulane, same thing, right? These are people who are aiming to be thought leaders, and they're aiming to have a direction in their careers of leadership, and that'll be them, and that'll be you too, right? This is the group that you're a part of. And you'll be prepared to do all of this in your future career, whatever that ends up being. And you'll be prepped and ready to challenge and question anything and everything. One of the goals of philosophy, I'm a philosopher by training. One of the goals of philosophy is to question the underlying assumptions of the times, to see if they stand up to reason, to see what are the things that we assume to be true without actually thinking about them, and let's go think about them and see if they actually work. Now, I know the idea of questioning everything right now kind of has a nihilistic QAnon kind of tinge to it. That's not what we're talking about here, because we believe that by questioning things, you can answer those questions and get the right answer and know why it's the right answer. And that's what we're aiming for. And that's what we want you to be able to do as well. And Tulane is also in New Orleans, and that's a really important feature of this too. New Orleans, yes, is a top quality, has top quality healthcare. It's a large city that has multiple hospitals with important research studies going on in various, but it's also in New Orleans. And New Orleans has seen the challenges of healthcare inequity in Katrina, but since then as well. When we know that the problems in a calamity are not evenly or justly distributed. We saw that in Katrina, we see it now in COVID treatment, we see it now in COVID vaccine distributions. Now, more than ever, is a critical time to be talking about healthcare inequities. And New Orleans has seen this, and the people in New Orleans have fought to do it right. Not always well and not always successfully, but New Orleans is at the forefront of the challenges that we've got to face in healthcare ethics today. That's one of those gaps that when we created healthcare ethics, modern healthcare ethics, 60 some years ago, we kind of had a gap in talking about inequalities. And that's one of the things that we really need to be hitting hard now. New Orleans knows that. And the people in New Orleans have been working on that. And again, so will you be working on that when you're here. And again, this is the goal. This is not something where, you know, I don't want you to come in, listen to me talk for a while and go home and say, lesson, wisdom received, nor do I want to come in and talk for a while and then go home. I want this program to be the center of making people's lives, of making patients' lives better by taking on the problems of healthcare. And I want us to be at the center of change in how American healthcare takes care of its patients. And New Orleans is at the center of that, whether or not it wants to be, because of its history, but also because of its present. Now, if that's not what you thought I was going to say when I said, why New Orleans? All right, we got that too, right? New Orleans is New Orleans, and it is a fantastic place to be once we get done with this, COVID nonsense and we can get out and actually enjoy the world again. New Orleans is a fantastic place to be. In fact, don't take my word for it. Take these people's word for it.
When people learn you are moving to New Orleans, they get jealous. Why? Because they know that while you advance your career, you will also be fully educated on how to get the most out of life. Known as the Big Easy, NOLA, the Crescent City, the City That Care Forgot, and a multitude of other nicknames, she is a living being and a world-class city with a culture of her own. New Orleans is deeply rooted in the past, but with modern touches. Of course there's Mardi Gras, but our festivals go year-round. Our food is world-class, whether you want a bite, something casual, or are out for a special occasion. And we love our cocktails, which only makes sense. As legend says, the first one was invented right here. And for all the fun, we are also a family-based city with lots of activities for young ones to enjoy. You can spend days wandering our art galleries and museums, or enjoy a variety of public spaces, either within the city proper or just outside its limits throughout our beautiful state of Louisiana. We are a sports mecca where fans rally around the NFL Saints in our iconic Superdome, and we also have the NBA's Pelicans if hoops is your thing. And while most of the world sleeps, our nightlife is unrivaled with an immeasurable number of intimate venues. You'll also learn new ways to pronounce things, like Burgundy, Calliope, Beignet, Chapatoulas, and Lagniappe, which means a little something extra. And that Lagniappe is what makes New Orleans so special, because we are all her family.
While you enjoy the fabric of the city of New Orleans, understand that you're absolutely a part of it.
New Orleans has just a huge culture.
It's an amazing city filled with great food, great culture, great music.
For whatever reason, it just kind of sits right with your soul.
They just incorporate you into their life as if you're one of their own immediately.
You're gonna love the city and you're gonna love Tulane.
So that's it. That's my blurb on the program. Here's the link again. Here's my information as well. shanson4@Tulane or Sophie's information to get more to contact us more. By all means, we want to hear questions. We want you to know, want to be able to answer them. We want you to know what there is to know about the program, and we want you to apply because we are excited about this and we want to get you excited about it as well. I'm going to stop my share now, and I'm happy to open the floor for questions. Do have one question here. Would it be possible to complete this degree in 1 year? I believe that it is not. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but we do not offer all of the core courses in a 1 year cycle. So you would not be able to complete it in 1 year. However, one of the things that we are talking about designing is a certificate program, which would be completable in 1 year, which would be more like a 12 or 15-hour program. So if that's something that you're interested in, keep in touch. We don't have it yet, but we may have it. I won't make any promises. We're trying to get that designed as quickly as we can. So that's a possibility. Other questions? And I think we can allow if people can unmute themselves and ask. I think that's fine.
Stephen, there's a question about internships, and my name is David Dukas. I am the director of the program in medical ethics and human values, where the MS program lives. And yes, we do have the ability with funding for students who are properly paired with a mentor, and we can work to facilitate that so that they can work on internship work during the summers and even during the year. And so that's another thing that we can go ahead and help with student development, particularly towards some sort of a longitudinal project for the student.
Also a question about whether or not we are open to different paradigms of medicine. I mean,
absolutely.
I'll tell you what, let me let people answer that question at the same time as I do something which I forgot to do, which is introduce everybody. So let me do a quick introduction of the members of our program. Not everybody's here, but a lot of us are. And I'll just name them off. And when I say your name, just quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what it is. And just in the order that I have people. Sophie, would you please start?
Sure. So hi everyone, my name is Sophie. I am a lecturer and a program manager. So if you have any questions regarding admission or you need help regarding courses or other questions, so feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to help you with everything. So my background is in neuroscience and philosophy. I received my PhD from Tübingen University, South Germany. Before joining the program, I also completed a postdoc at Tel Aviv University and taught at Brandeis, Jinan University in China, and also Loyola here at New Orleans. My focus in research is on the ethical implication of brain modifications and brain intervention. I love teaching ethical theories and all these kind of applied ethics courses, especially neuroethics. I'm also teaching neurophilosophy and philosophy of mind. So this is about myself.
Thank you. David, you've introduced yourself. Do you want to say a little bit more about yourself?
My background is I'm a clinical ethicist. I'm a physician in family medicine, and particularly interested in Rochelle's comment about patient advocacy, because that's something that is extremely dear to my heart. As a clinical ethicist, I've chaired ethics committees at a variety of hospitals at major universities around the country, and have started master's programs both here and at the University of Louisville. My interests are primarily in areas of medical professionalism, but also in advanced care planning and the physician-patient relationship.
Couldn't unmute myself for a second. Next on my list is just the next person I see is Nate.
Hey everybody, I'm Nate Stout. So I'm one of the core faculty here in the master's program, and I also am a staff medical ethicist and preventive ethics coordinator at the New Orleans VA hospital. My background is also in philosophy. I have pretty wide-ranging interests in moral theory and moral psychology. In the program, I teach a range of ethics courses. So I've taught our foundations in bioethics, currently teaching ethical theory. My newly developed upcoming course in pandemic ethics will be offered soon. And I also teach and write and think about philosophy of medicine and a number of issues that are bound up in that. Yeah, as to Rochelle's question, I am open-minded to critical perspectives on everything. So that's sort of as a philosopher, that's what we do, right? So we want to look critically at any established paradigm and see if it holds up to scrutiny. So absolutely.
Valerie, would you go next?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our information session. I'm Valerie Holiday, and my background is, my PhD is in English literature from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. And I also have a Master of Arts degree in philosophy, which was, I took a non-thesis option and focused on continental philosophies and such things. But when I moved into English literature, my interests sort of broadened a little bit. My dissertation, my original interest was science fiction, and I wrote my dissertation on conspiracy theory, conspiracy narratives in America after World War II. So, you know, I'm not sure what that has to do with bioethics, but I managed to bring the two together. I currently teach bioethics to nursing students at Baton Rouge Community College. Much of my vocation has been about making college and making education accessible to all. And so making contributions to the community college system has been very important to me for that reason. I have worked in the Tulane School of Medicine in different capacities since 2017. I was originally the director of faculty affairs in the dean's office until I met Dr. Dukas, and then we developed a relationship and began to collaborate on this wonderful program that's now real. I would like to address your question, Rochelle, if you can give me just a second, Stephen. Thank you. I am, you know, not a doctor, not a clinical physician, or in any way. I'm a doctor, but you know, it's Dr. Ne'er-do-well. So coming into this environment has been something of a discovery for me. And so I come with a lot of baggage myself personally about patient-doctor relationships. And so I am definitely open to, because it's been a question in my own life. I'm like Nate, I take critical questioning pretty far. In fact, I've actually even questioned what makes humans so special that they should have rights of any kind. I know that's probably going against the grain in terms of human rights, but that's the kind of questioning that I think is extremely important. So I've had end-of-life issues with my mother, end-of-life issues with my father, so I'm very familiar with those. I think it's very important. That's what we're trying to do in this program, is to bring clinical and non-clinical experiences and scholarship together to find out what new things we can discover. And I love it, and that's why I'm here. So I definitely plan to take part of that. Okay, thank you so much for letting me speak, Stephen.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. Kathy, I have you next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Lazarus. I'm a physician. I'm a general internal medicine physician, and I teach in the medical humanities part of our program. Delighted to have you all here and have your interest. I am a faculty member at both Tulane and actually at LSU New Orleans School of Medicine. I happen to be the Associate Dean for Student Affairs at LSU. I have a long association with Tulane and was a full-time faculty member there for many years, as well as serving in administrative roles at Washington University in St. Louis, where I went to medical school and did my residency, and at Chicago Medical School in Chicago, where I was a senior associate dean for a while. My interest is in growing doctors. I never would have thought when I was in medical school that I would spend my entire career developing young physicians, but that is what it has turned out to be. I think that medical humanities plays an incredibly important role in developing physicians, and I've been teaching medical humanities for a while. I co-teach some exciting electives, if I do say so myself, with Dr. Saxton and Dr. Holliday. We teach the doctor's author course. Dr. Holliday and I are working on an elective around feminist ethics, and Dr. Saxton and I and another faculty member have an elective on medicine and identity, where we'll be looking at issues around race, gender, and ability. I also teach disability studies at the Tulane undergraduate campus through the Taylor Center and the program for social innovation and social entrepreneurship. Delighted to have all of you here, and I hope we'll be seeing some of you in our classes.
Thank you. And she mentioned you, Ben. You're next on my list.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ben Saxton. I've been in New Orleans for about 6 years, and my background is in literature and writing. I got a PhD in English at Rice University, and shortly after that, I completed a postdoc in medical humanities at the McGovern Medical School. From there, I came here to New Orleans, so I'm a member of the core faculty at Tulane. And yeah, one of the things that I've really enjoyed is, as Dr. Lazarus mentioned, is the ability to teach and work with med students in a variety of contexts. So I just taught the fundamentals of medical humanities course, taught a class on doctor as author, and as Dr. Lazarus mentioned, we're offering class on medicine and identity. So, you know, to sort of zoom way out, I would say my interest is with people and stories. You know, in my own work, that's kind of led me into, you know, journalism, personal essay, narrative nonfiction. And in the classroom, I've you know, really tended to focus on personal and professional formation, helping students think about their own journeys through medicine, how they can, you know, how their writing and their stories and their relationships with their patients, you know, can continue to grow. And so it's really been a pleasure and a privilege to be able to think and teach in this space. And I'm happy to be here. So that's it's a little bit about me.
Thank you. I didn't really give you a whole lot of details about me. I do a lot of work in theory of bioethics, end of life, clinical ethics. And I think I probably made it clear in my presentation that I think one of the things that I've learned is the limits to how I was trained in traditional bioethics and where we need to be expanding beyond that, and definitely talking about narrative ethics, talking about clinical liaison ethics, talking about feminist ethics. These are the places that we need to be looking, because the errors that or just the gaps that we have in the traditional picture, they need to be fixed and filled. Please, other questions that anyone has, I'd be glad to answer them or farm them out.
Question similar to Mimi. Is it possible as researchers like coinciding with the program that tuition, mainly research related to bioethics, maybe with a faculty member that also taught in the program?
I had trouble hearing that. Did anyone get it better than I did? I apologize.
Can you hear me now?
We could hear you, but it was patchy.
Okay, I'll just type it.
I apologize. That may be the best bet here.
Even while Molly is typing, I just want to take a minute to sort of reaffirm some of the things that Dr. Hansen said about the sense of community that we have in our program. So we're a new program. Our incoming class was very small, but it's a very tight-knit class. They are, it's, our students have gotten close to one another, even though they've only known each other for a semester and 5 weeks now. So it's I do want to just sort of reiterate what he said about the community atmosphere that we're developing, and yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I meant also to add when I was introducing myself, if any of you have questions for me, feel free to email me as well. I'm happy to give you any other information you want.
And Molly's question, I mean, I think the short version is we haven't done it yet, but there's a lot of things we haven't done yet. We're a new program. So I don't see any special reason why that would not be possible in principle, right? Actually getting it done and having somebody who has the position available and all of that, that's the thing that would be necessary there. But I mean, if we are flexible to do lots of different things. So if we're looking for people who are mid-career professionals and saying we can work around your schedule, we would certainly be willing and able to do the same thing with somebody who is working their way through, and ideally, yes, somebody who's working with somebody in the program would be great. That said, I don't know of any particular research positions that anybody's hiring for, but I don't even know if we'd know that at this point. What with COVID making finances so confusing, they're not really giving us, here's what we expect the financial picture to be for the next 3 years, because they don't know. And if they did give it to us, it would be, total guesswork. So I have no problem with that as something that we'd be happy to do if the positions were available. I simply don't know if the positions are available or will become so.
Well, I can speak to that from the other end, that if so Dr. Dukas has just responded by saying that research of that type can be supported by the program. I would certainly be open to working with a student. I have research needs as we speak, right at this moment. So yes, that would certainly, there would be a receiving end, just if there's some sort of support coming from the program.
Right, I am also currently working with a medical student on a project, but I am not funding her in any way. So that would be the big gap there. But yeah, I'd be happy to look into that as well.
Well, the other option too is I have one student that we're going through the initial stages of forming the collaboration, but she was admitted as a DeBakey Scholar here at Tulane School of Medicine. And so this is a special research track. And so that will mean that I will be in a 4-year commitment to work with her in her area of interest. So we have lots of different options besides the medical school's DeBakey program, but we also have the program in medical ethics and human values, which since I administer that, I'm able to go ahead and utilize that for support of students if they're doing research with a faculty mentor. By the way, before I'm sorry, go ahead, Noah.
Oh, no, you can finish.
I was just going to also mention there was something that Stephen had mentioned about the MDMS program for people who are doing the dual degree program. How we do that is there is a time slot in the second semester of first year and then first and both semesters of second year. On Wednesdays and Fridays, it's carved out as elective time. And this is when they can take electives. And for instance, I teach a course on art of observation with medical students. But that Wednesday and Friday time is held open so that we can take for the Masters of Science course, our coursework. So it's not taken, quote unquote, on top of your medical school coursework if you are going into medical school. It's taken as integrated into it. So therefore, it's during the school year, just as if you were taking other types of electives, with the only addition that there's the summer before and after first year in which some coursework is taken so that that way you get all the credit hours done prior to your entry into third year. It means you don't have to worry about any clinical coursework at all. Noah, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to kind of along the lines of doing the MD-MS. Would there potentially be a way to do a 5-year program if we wanted to do something like with the DeBakey Scholars Program and spend kind of a focus of a year doing a bulk of the coursework along with research, or is it pretty much just the 4-year?
We are very interested in flexibility, and so therefore the reason why we advertise it as a 4-year program is very often students like coming in with a cohort of students in their MD career, and they want to know that they're going to graduate with these other people that they've been with for those 4 years. But if you're interested in doing a specific type of a project, particularly with DeBakey, I'm totally open to that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and that was, right. And most questions about can we make something work as long as it's possible is, yeah, we're more than happy to be trying to do things flexibly. That's one of the things we can do because we have the flexibility already built into the program for needing to deal with different student bodies anyway. Any other questions from anybody? I'm really happy to see everybody, and I'm glad to see you all, and I really hope to hear from all of you. I really hope to hear from all of you more about the program and see applications from you as well. That's what I hope. Whatever happens, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to quote meet all of you.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate in contacting us.
There is one more question in the chat.
Yes, and resources for the financial aid process. You know what, rather than try to quickly say that, would you be okay if we were to drop you an email with some of the links for financial aid in it? David, were you going to answer that question?
No, I was going to.
I mean, it seems like that would be the best way to do it. That way we can give you links and actual information, so we don't have to spell stuff out and so on. That sound good? And I believe we have your email address, but if not, drop us a line and we'll. Yeah, okay. Oh, of course we do. Yeah, of course we do. So yeah, let's try to get. We'll try to get that answered for you and soon after. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.